Ava Sinclair didn't know the city was holding its breath for her. She didn't know someone had already marked her, already followed her, already decided she belonged to them. Not Dominic Hayes, the billionaire who would soon rewrite every rule she lived by, but the darkness she escaped, and the man unwilling to let her go. She woke up that morning believing she was only walking into an interview. Instead, she stepped into a collision course, with power, obsession, and a storm far more dangerous than the one gathering over Manhattan. By the time the elevator doors closed, Ava Sinclair's life was no longer her own. Two men wanted her for very different reasons, and only one of them would destroy everything to keep her. Chapter 1. The City of Glass. New York glittered beneath the morning sun, each skyscraper catching the light like sharpened diamonds. Cars hummed below Madison Avenue, yellow cabs weaving between matte black town cars and the occasional roaring Lamborghini. The chill of early spring hung in the air, cold enough to sting, warm enough to give hope. Ava Sinclair tightened her coat around her body, her breath fogging as she hurried past the revolving doors of the Orion Tower, a 76-story glass monolith piercing the clouds. The building didn't just reflect the skyline, it owned it. Inside, the lobby rose like a cathedral of power. Marble floors, dark walnut walls, gold-trimmed elevators that whispered wealth. Ava used to love this place. Before her life fell apart, before her mother's hospital bills swallowed everything, before she sat across from her ex-boyfriend, her boss, begging to keep her job. Not today. Today she had a job interview on the 60th floor, one she desperately needed. Ava pressed the elevator button and exhaled sharply. That's when he walked in. Chapter 2. The man in the black suit. The air shifted, like the moment before a storm. A striking man entered the lobby, tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a perfectly tailored black Brioni suit. His presence hit the room like a gravitational pull. Charcoal eyes, sharp jaw, dark hair slightly tousled like he'd just run a hand through it in frustration. Dominic Hayes, the billionaire CEO of Hale International. Her future boss, if she didn't screw up. Every article described him as ruthless, brilliant, emotionally unavailable. But seeing him in person was different. Electric, intimidating, and dangerously magnetic. Ava's pulse spiked. He stepped into the elevator. "Are you coming?" His voice, deep, low, uninterested, vibrated through her. She hurried inside. The doors closed. Silence. Holy hell, the scent of him, clean, expensive, something like cedar and rain, made her toes curl inside her heels. "You're Ava Sinclair," he said without looking at her. Her heart slammed. Yes. He finally turned his head. His gaze swept over her slowly, too slowly, as if analyzing everything. Her posture, her breathing, her fear. "I read your file." Ava swallowed. "And? You're either the smartest candidate we'll meet today?" His eyes flicked down to her lips, barely a second, but enough to make heat pulse low in her stomach. "Or you're about to waste my time." The elevator dinged. Ava stepped out too fast and almost tripped. Dominic caught her wrist. Firm, warm, possessive for a split second. "Careful." His voice softened just 1 degree. "Today matters." Her breath tangled. He released her. Too soon. Chapter 3. The interview. Dominic's office on the 76th floor was not just an office. It was a kingdom. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. A black marble desk. A single abstract painting worth more than Ava's entire apartment building. Bookshelves lined with first editions, leather-bound. He didn't sit behind his desk. He leaned against it, arms crossed, watching her. "Why do you want this job?" Ava took a breath. "Because I'm good at what I do. Better than most. Because I need a fresh start. Because I won't waste your time." A corner of his mouth lifted. The ghost of a smirk. Honesty. I appreciate that. Something thickened in the air between them. Too intimate for an interview, too charged to ignore. He stepped closer. Not enough to be unprofessional, but enough that she felt the warmth of his body. You worked under Adrian Cole, he said. Worked, dated, broken by, but Dominic didn't need to know that. Ava lifted her chin. Yes. His jaw flexed. A small sign of irritation? Jealousy? Why would Dominic Hale care? He circled her slowly, like a man evaluating something valuable. Her pulse throbbed, her senses sharpened. He stopped behind her, close enough that she felt the heat of his chest along her back. Ava, he said quietly, I don't tolerate distractions. She froze. I'm not a distraction. You could be. His voice dipped. Dangerous. Sinful. Very easily. Electric heat shot through her. He moved away before she could breathe. You're hired. Just like that. Ava blinked. What? Why? He met her eyes, and for the first time she saw something smoldering behind the professionalism. I don't make decisions twice, he said, and something tells me you're going to be a problem I want to keep close. Her stomach flipped. And what does that mean? She asked, breathlessly. He stepped closer again, close enough that she felt his presence ripple over her skin. It means... His gaze dropped to her mouth again. We'll see how long we can keep this professional. Her knees nearly gave out. Before she could form words, Dominic turned away and said, Be in my office at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Don't be late. Chapter 4. The Drive. Ava left the building dizzy, heart racing. A matte black Bentley pulled up beside her. The tinted window lowered. Dominic. Get in, he said simply. Her breath caught. Why? It's raining. It wasn't. Not yet. But a dark cloud rolled over the skyline like a warning. She hesitated. His eyes softened. Barely. Ava, get in. She slid into the plush leather seat. The interior smelled like him. Dark, clean, expensive. The doors locked automatically. She looked at him. Where are we going? He shifted slightly toward her. You're mine to protect now. Her chest tightened. What does that even mean? She whispered. Dominic's voice dropped, slow and dangerous. You'll understand soon enough. The first raindrop hit the window. Then the storm began. Chapter 5. Storms and Secrets. The Bentley glided through Manhattan like a black panther weaving through its territory. Raindrops streaked down the windows, city lights blurring into rivers of gold and crimson. The storm grew heavier, thunder rumbling overhead. Inside the car, the silence was alive. Ava could feel Dominic's attention on her even while he watched the road, an awareness that made her hyper-aware of every breath she took. She clasped her hands in her lap. You didn't have to drive me. I know, he said. His voice was calmer than earlier, stripped of the sharp CEO edge, deeper, more intimate. Then why? She pushed. Dominic's jaw tightened. Because I wanted to. The car slowed as traffic thickened. The sudden red glow of brake lights painted his face a haunting shade. He turned toward her, only slightly, but his gaze anchored her in place. You're different from what I expected, he said. How so? You don't pretend. His lips curved with a quiet edge. Everyone in my world pretends. A strange softness brushed her chest. And what do I pretend? She challenged gently. His eyes dropped to her mouth, again. That you're unaffected by me. Her heart slammed. She turned toward the window, the storm swallowing her reflection, her pulse beating like thunder. You're reading too much into things, she whispered. Dominic chuckled low, breathy, unsettlingly confident. I don't misread people. The car stopped at a red light. Rain hammered against the roof. Ava felt him looking at her again. Felt it everywhere. Your trouble, he said quietly, but not the kind I should avoid. A tension thicker than the storm wrapped around them, pulling tighter with every breath. And then, his phone rang. The moment shattered. Chapter 6. The call. Dominic answered without taking his eyes off her. Hales speaking. His tone switched instantly. Sharp, clipped, powerful. CEO mode. Yes, handle it. No, I want that contract on my desk by morning. If they can't deliver, cut them. Ava watched him. The way he commanded authority. How his voice vibrated with control. How even irritated, he looked devastatingly calm. Those charcoal eyes flicked back to her several times, as if reminding himself she was there. When the call ended, he exhaled hard. You deal with a lot, she said softly. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. You have no idea. Lightning flashed across the sky. Then tell me, she said before she could stop herself. Dominic turned toward her, studying her face with a kind of hunger and confusion, like he couldn't decide if she was a threat or a relief. No one asked me that, he said quietly. Well, I'm not no one. The words slipped out. His lips parted slightly, breath catching, just once. A flash of honesty, vulnerability, something unshielded. Then he masked it instantly. You're right, he murmured. You aren't. The way he said it sent heat curling through her stomach. Chapter 7. The penthouse. Traffic cleared. They drove toward Billionaire's Row, 57th Street, passing luxury boutiques, Michelin star restaurants, endless glass towers disappearing into the clouds. The Bentley pulled into an underground garage beneath the Hale Tower Residences, one of New York's most exclusive luxury buildings. Ava blinked. You live here? He opened his door. Temporarily. Dominic, why are we here? He walked around to open her door. Her heart stuttered. He didn't strike her as the type to open doors for anyone. He offered his hand. Ava, he said softly. You're shaking. She hadn't even realized. Storm, cold, him, she didn't know. She placed her hand in his, warm, strong, confident. One touch and her breath tangled. We're going upstairs so you can dry off, he said. You're freezing. But it's not a question. He led her to a private elevator, only 2 buttons, lobby and PH. The elevator shot upward smoothly. Quiet, intimate, dangerous. Dominic stood close enough that she felt the heat of his body beside hers, yet he didn't touch her again. But his eyes, they spoke 1,000 things. The doors slid open. Ava stepped into the most beautiful penthouse she had ever seen. White marble floors, a glass wall overlooking the entire skyline, black and gold accents, a modern fireplace built into a dark stone wall, a lounge area with plush cream sofas, a long hallway leading to shadowed rooms. It was elegant, cold, breathtaking, just like him. Wow, she whispered. Dominic loosened his tie, watching her reaction with quiet intensity. This place is too big for one person, she said. I'm not good at being alone, he replied quietly. Her heart squeezed. He seemed exposed for a second. Then, you can use the guest bathroom, he said, breaking the moment. Towels are inside. I'll get you something dry to wear. She blinked. You keep women's clothes here? His lips curved. Just yours. Heat flooded her face. Mine? You'll understand soon. Dominic turned and walked away, leaving her breathless in the center of his world. Chapter 8. The moment before something happens. Ava wandered deeper into the penthouse. The rainstorm outside blurred the skyline in sheets of silver. Lightning lit the glass walls, casting sharp shadows across the room. Her heart twisted. What was she doing here? Why did it feel so dangerous and so right? She touched the edge of his marble countertop, imagined him here, cooking, pacing, drinking whiskey, thinking about his empire. Her fingers brushed a photo frame near the bar table. A little boy, dark hair, gray eyes. Dominic as a child. He looked lonely. "What are you doing?" A deep voice said behind her. She jumped. He was close. Too close. "I didn't mean to pry." "You didn't," he murmured. His voice had changed. Lower, rougher. "You just surprised me." A beat. A slow exhale. Then, dangerously soft. "Everything about you surprises me." Ava swallowed. "Dominic." He stepped closer. Her back touched the counter. His hand slid to the edges of the marble on either side of her hips. Not touching her, but caging her in a way that made her entire body heat. 10 inches apart. Then 8. Then 6. His breath brushed her cheek. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered. "Then why bring me?" Lightning illuminated his face, sharp jaw, intent eyes. "Because the moment you stepped into that elevator today..." His gaze dropped to her lips. "I stopped thinking clearly." Her pulse pounded. "Dominic." His fingertips brushed her waist. Featherlight but burning. "Tell me to back away," he said, voice shaking just enough to betray him. Ava didn't move. Couldn't. "I'm not telling you anything," she whispered. His eyes darkened completely. Then, a phone buzzed. Again, the moment broke. Dominic cursed. He stepped back, chest rising and falling too fast. "This isn't over," he said, his voice like gravel. He grabbed the phone, stared at it, and his expression turned from frustration to something fierce and dangerous. "What is it?" Ava asked. He looked at her, jaw clenched, eyes storming. "They're coming for you." Chapter 9. The warning. The storm outside had turned violent, rain slashing the windows like razor lines of silver, thunder trembling through the penthouse. Dominic's face had shifted into something Ava had never seen on him. Not the polished CEO mask, not the quiet, intense man from the car. This look was sharp, controlled fury wrapped in ice. A man who had enemies, a man used to dealing with them, a man who knew more about her situation than she did. Ava's pulse thudded painfully. "Dominic, who's coming for me?" He didn't answer at first. He grabbed the remote, turned on the floor-to-ceiling security monitors, a wall of live camera feeds from the building. Lobby, parking garage, service elevator, entrances, exits. "A private investigator followed you to Hale Tower," he said. "Someone hired him." Her stomach dropped. Why would someone do that?" Dominic looked at her, eyes storming like the sky behind him. "Because you're in trouble, Ava." His voice was low, steady, terrifyingly calm. "And you didn't even know." A shiver ran through her. "Trouble with who?" Dominic's jaw tightened. "Your ex-boyfriend." Ava froze. Her heart stopped, then raced so fast she felt dizzy. "Leo," she whispered. Her voice broke on his name. Dominic's eyes narrowed with something that wasn't jealousy. It was pure, lethal protectiveness. "You should have told me," he said. "There was nothing to tell," Ava said, voice shaking. "We ended things months ago." Dominic stepped closer. "A man like him doesn't walk away." Her throat tightened. Dominic, how do you even know about him? His gaze softened a fraction. I looked into you. Ava's breath hitched. You what? I needed to know who you were, he said simply. You walked into my life and everything started spinning. I needed answers. And if you didn't like what you found? She whispered. He stepped closer until he was right in front of her, lowering his head to her level. If I didn't like it, he said softly, I'd still want you. The air between them simmered. But then, he straightened, cold again. But this changes things. Leo is unstable. He's dangerous, and he isn't done with you. Ava felt sick. Her knees went weak. Dominic caught her elbow instantly. His touch was strong, grounding, warm. Ava, he said quietly, you're safe here. You're with me. Her voice trembled. I didn't want to involve anyone, especially you. Too late, he murmured. I'm already involved. Chapter 10. The penthouse at midnight. Dominic guided her toward the living area, one hand lightly on her back. Gentle but commanding, like he couldn't decide if he was comforting her or claiming her. The fireplace flickered to life with a soft whoosh, casting golden light across the marble floors. Sit, he said softly. She sat on the edge of the cream sofa. Dominic crouched in front of her. CEO, down on one knee, his large hands resting on her knees lightly, anchoring her. Tell me everything, he said. No hiding, no minimizing, no saying you're fine. Ava closed her eyes. Being seen like this, really seen, felt dangerous and intimate and terrifying. She told him everything. The controlling behavior, the manipulations, the slow, suffocating fear she didn't even know she had until it was over. Dominic listened, silent, muscles tight, breathing heavier with each detail. When she finished, he stood slowly. And for the first time, she saw pure anger in his eyes. Not at her. Never at her. At the man who hurt her. He won't touch you again, Dominic said, voice like velvet steel. I'll make sure of it. Ava swallowed hard. You sound like this is your responsibility. It is. Why? Dominic looked at her. Really looked at her. As if the truth was boiling inside him, pressing against his ribs. Because I care about you, he said. More than I should. Her breath caught. And because, he added, stepping closer, your past doesn't get to haunt you when you're standing in my home. Her heart slammed into her ribs. Dominic sat beside her, closer than he had ever been. Not touching, but 1 inch away. The kind of closeness that made her body flush with heat. Ava, he murmured. If he tries anything, I'll end it. Dominic, you can't. He reached out, brushing a damp strand of hair behind her ear. Slow, gentle. A touch so intimate her eyes fluttered shut. Yes, I can, he whispered. Her breath shivered. You don't have to protect me, she said softly. I know, he replied, but I want to. The fireplace crackled. The rain softened. The entire world seemed to hold its breath. Then, he leaned in. Not enough to kiss her. Enough to test her. Enough to tempt her. His lips hovered inches from hers. His breath warm on her mouth. Ava, he whispered, voice rough. If I kiss you now, I won't stop. Her pulse thundered. I didn't ask you to, she breathed. Dominic's eyes flashed with desire so sharp it felt like gravity. He tilted her chin up with 2 fingers. A soft buzz interrupted the moment. Again, the elevator security alert. Dominic cursed under his breath and stood instantly, all tension snapping back into CEO warrior mode. They're here, he said. Ava's heart dropped. Leo? No, His voice darkened. Someone worse. He reached for her hand. Stay behind me. Chapter 11, the elevator sounded again. The penthouse fell silent. Even the storm outside seemed to pause, as if the city knew something dangerous was approaching. Dominic moved first. Slow, controlled, predatory. He reached behind the console, pressed a hidden panel, and a sleek black security screen slid open, showing the private elevator feed. A hooded figure stood inside. Not Leo. Not a stranger. Ava's breath caught. Oh my God. That's... Dominic muttered something under his breath. Not anger. Something colder. Older. Marcus Hale, Ava whispered. Dominic's brother. The ex-heir. The prodigal son. The one every business magazine called brilliant but reckless. Talented but toxic. Dominic's jaw flexed. Of all nights. Why is he here? Ava whispered, stepping back slightly. Dominic didn't answer right away. He watched the screen, eyes storming, the muscles in his forearms tightening beneath his shirt. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, dangerous. Marcus doesn't show up unless he wants something. Ava's stomach twisted. Something like what? Dominic turned his head slightly, eyes flicking down to her lips, her throat, the faint shiver in her breath. Or someone. Chapter 12. The brother. The elevator dinged. Ava tensed. Dominic straightened, every line of his body shifting into cold, unshakable control. The CEO mask. The billionaire armor. But under it, she felt the fury simmering. Marcus stepped out. Tall, dark hair, shirt half-buttoned as if he came from a club or a fight. Maybe both. A smirk carved into his lips. Well, well, Marcus said, voice of a smooth blade. Little brother, you've been busy. His eyes shifted to Ava and lingered. Too long. Too interested. A slow, appreciative smile curved his mouth. And who? Marcus murmured. Is this? Dominic moved in front of her without hesitation. He didn't touch her, but the message was clear. Mine. A flush crept up Ava's neck. Marcus raised a brow, amused. Protective, aren't we? Dominic's voice was lethal calm. Say what you came to say, Marcus. Then leave. Marcus chuckled lightly. Relax, I'm not here to start a war. Yet. He stepped forward, pouring himself a drink from the bar with infuriating casualness. A little rain, a little scandal, a little visit. He glanced at Ava again. And apparently a little company. Ava's pulse kicked. Marcus didn't just look at her. He read her, unwrapped her. And Dominic noticed. He stepped closer to Ava. So close his heat pressed against her back. A subtle claim. A warning. Marcus smirked. Didn't realize you'd finally let someone get close? Dominic's jaw clenched. Last warning. Marcus lifted his glass. To family. Dominic didn't move. Didn't blink. But Ava felt it. A storm gathering inside him. Marcus took a sip. Leo's in town. Ava's breath hitched violently. Her vision blurred for a second. Dominic grabbed her hand instantly. Warm, steady, grounding her. Marcus's voice turned razor sharp. And he isn't alone. Ava's heart hammered. Who? Who is he with? Marcus set down his glass, expression sobering. Hired muscle. 2 guys. He wants her back, Dom. Her stomach dropped. Dominic's grip tightened. Marcus leaned against the bar, studying them with an unsettling curiosity. Did you tell her the truth? Marcus, Dominic warned. Tell me what? Ava whispered. Marcus tilted his head. You didn't tell her about the deal he tried to make with us? Dominic's body went still. Ava's breath froze. What deal? she demanded, voice trembling. Marcus smiled faintly. Leo offered to sell information to hurt you, unless Dominic paid him, unless Dominic handed you over. Ava's knees buckled. Dominic caught her instantly, pulling her against him, his arms like steel. That's enough, Dominic growled. Marcus shrugged. She deserved to know. Ava's chest rose and fell in harsh breaths. He tried to sell me? Dominic cupped the side of her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. Ava, look at me. Her vision blurred with tears. No one touches you, Dominic said, voice cracking with emotion he wasn't supposed to have. No one owns you. Not him. Not anyone. Marcus exhaled sharply. Dom, he's coming tonight. Ava's breath shattered. Here? Marcus nodded. He followed you, both of you. Dominic snapped. Not visibly, not loudly, but Ava felt it. The shift from protective to lethal. He pulled her behind him. Stay with me. Marcus raised a brow. I can help. You've done enough, Dominic bit out. Ava suddenly grabbed Dominic's shirt. Dominic, I'm scared. He turned instantly, cupping her face, foreheads touching. Don't be. His voice was deep, rough, intimate. I'll burn the city down before I let him hurt you. Marcus groaned. Good God, Dom. Dominic didn't look away from Ava. You're mine to protect, he whispered. Ava's breath hitched. I don't want to leave your side. You won't. He pulled her closer instinctively. Her body pressed against his hand on her back, his breath warm against her cheek. Marcus watched, eyebrows rising. Well, this complicates things. Dominic didn't care. He tilted Ava's chin up, his thumb brushing softly, possessively across her jawline. Ava, he murmured, stay with me tonight. Not a question. A need, a vow. She nodded, swallowing hard. Oh, okay. Dominic exhaled. Relief, desire, danger mixing in his eyes. Marcus cleared his throat. If you two are done staring into each other's souls, you have a problem coming up the private elevator. The security screen flashed red. LEO, access overridden. Ava's scream caught in her throat. Dominic's eyes darkened. He grabbed her wrist. Run. Chapter 13. Run. The private elevator alarm blared through the penthouse, a chilling metallic echo that vibrated across the marble floors. Ava's breath froze. Dominic didn't hesitate. His arm wrapped around her waist, steady and commanding, pulling her behind him as the lights flickered red across the penthouse walls. Marcus cursed under his breath. Dom, he forced the override. He'll be here in seconds. Dominic's voice dropped into the quiet, lethal register Ava had only heard once before, the voice of a man who had spent his life building empires and defending them. Ava, he murmured, turning his head just enough for her to see the razor focus in his storm-gray eyes. Listen to me. Don't panic. I won't let him touch you. Her throat tightened. Dominic. The elevator dinged, a sound far too soft for the terror it carried. Dominic repositioned himself in front of her, body coiled, protective, dangerous. Marcus stepped to the side, not blocking the way, but not fleeing either. This is going to get messy. The elevator doors slid open, and Leo stepped out. Tall, smirking, dripping rainwater, flanked by two men in black jackets. Sweetheart, Leo cooed. You've been hard to find. Ava's knees buckled. Dominic's hand snapped back, gripping hers so tightly she felt it in her ribs. Don't you take one step toward her. Leo's eyes flicked to Dominic, amused, mocking. So this is the billionaire replacement? Cute. Dominic stepped forward, shielding Ava completely. She isn't yours, Dominic said quietly. She never was. Leo tilted his head. Actually, he said, smile sharp. She owes me. Ava's voice shook. I owe you nothing. Leo asked. You left without paying your debt. Ava felt Dominic's body tense. What debt? Dominic asked, low and deadly. Leo shrugged casually. She promised she'd help me climb up in the finance world. I invested in her, took care of her when she had nothing. You controlled me, Ava whispered. Leo continued, unbothered. She promised she'd stay until I said otherwise. Dominic's fury ignited. She promised nothing, and you're leaving. Leo stepped forward. Marcus whistled. Wrong move, buddy. Dominic moved so fast Ava barely saw it. He stepped in front of Leo, blocking his path entirely. Leo laughed, but it was thin, nervous. You think money can scare me? No, Dominic said quietly. But I can. The air crackled. The two men behind Leo took a step forward. Marcus sighed. And here we go. Chapter 14. The Breaking Point. Leo's men lunged. Dominic grabbed Ava and spun her behind him so fast she barely felt her feet touch the floor. Marcus intercepted the first man with a brutal elbow to the jaw. The second man swung at Dominic. Dominic dodged, caught the man's arm, and twisted until the man screamed. The penthouse filled with chaos. Ava backed toward the wall, heart pounding painfully. Lightning flashed across the skyline outside, turning everything into a stuttering film reel. Leo sprinted toward her. Ava! She screamed. Dominic saw it. Everything inside him snapped. Don't touch her! Dominic shoved the attacker aside and launched himself across the room, slamming Leo back against the wall with a force that shook the glass. Leo gasped, struggling. Dominic's face was inches from his, eyes burning with a fury Ava had never seen. You ever come near her again? Leo spat blood. You don't own her. Dominic's voice dropped to a quiet, terrifying whisper. You're right. I don't. He turned his head. His eyes found Ava. Softened. Warmed. I protect her, Dominic said. And that's something you'll never understand. Leo swung wildly. Dominic caught his wrist midair. Twisted. Leo screamed. Marcus walked over, cracking his knuckles. Want me to finish this? Dominic didn't look away from Ava. Get them out. Marcus grinned. With pleasure. Within seconds, Marcus dragged Leo and his men toward the elevator. Leo's shouts echoed through the glass and marble penthouse until the doors slammed shut. Silence poured into the room like heavy velvet. Ava pressed her back against the wall, legs trembling uncontrollably. Dominic turned, and in 3 long strides he was in front of her. His hands cupped her face, his forehead pressed to hers. Ava, he whispered, voice rough with adrenaline and something deeper. Are you hurt? She shook her head. That was all he needed. He pulled her into his chest, hard, protective, overwhelming, as if he'd nearly lost her. Ava's fingers clutched the back of his shirt. Dominic. His breaths were ragged, his heartbeat thunder against her cheek. I thought I was going to lose you, he said. And I can't... His voice cracked. I can't do that. I won't. Her body melted into his. Safe. Wanted. His. Chapter 15. The truth. Dominic didn't let go of her until her breathing steadied. Even then, he kept one arm around her waist as if he needed the physical reminder she was still there. Ava looked up at him. Dominic, that deal Marcus mentioned. What did Leo try to do? Dominic exhaled, jaw tightening. He came to me 2 weeks ago. Her chest clenched. And? He said he'd ruin your chances at every job in New York unless I paid him to stay quiet. Dominic's eyes darkened. He wanted to make you unemployable, dependent, desperate. Ava's stomach twisted. I refused, Dominic said. I told him if he ever tried to hurt you again, I'd destroy him. Her breath caught. Why? You didn't even know me then. Dominic brushed his thumb across her cheek gently. I knew enough. A pause. A breath. Then, from the moment you walked into that interview, he murmured, I wanted to protect you. Her heart soared. Dominic. He shook his head softly. No more secrets, he said. Not from me, not from you, not from us. Us? She whispered. His gaze dropped to her lips. Yes, he said quietly. Us. The fire crackled behind them, the storm calming into soft rain. The city glowed in silvers and golds outside the glass. And for the first time since everything fell apart, Ava felt safe. Dominic's fingers slid to her jaw, tilting it gently. Ava, he breathed. I need you to know something. What? I didn't hire you because I needed an assistant. Her heart stopped. You didn't? He stepped closer. I hired you, he said softly, because the moment you looked at me, everything in my life shifted. Her pulse raced. I made a deal with myself that day, Dominic whispered. If I ever had the chance to keep you close, I'd take it. A shiver ran down her spine. What deal? She breathed. Dominic leaned in. His lips brushed her ear. That you'd become the one thing in my world worth breaking every rule for. Her breath hitched. Slow. Hungry. Certain. Ava whispered, then break them. Dominic froze. Just long enough for the moment to thicken between them like a final warning. Then, he kissed her. Finally. Deep. Slow. Consuming. A kiss that tasted like danger and safety, desire and devotion, fire and home. His hand slid into her hair. Her fingers curled into his chest. The storm outside melted into nothing. The world narrowed to him. Just him. And when he finally pulled back, breath hot against her lips, his voice was barely a whisper. Ava, you're mine. She exhaled shakily. And you're mine. Chapter 16, the morning after. The storm cleared by dawn. Ava stood wrapped in one of Dominic's shirts, overlooking the glass wall as the sunrise painted the city in shades of peach and gold. Dominic walked up behind her, placing his hands on her hips, pulling her back into him. Stay with me, he murmured, kissing her shoulder slowly. Not just last night. Not just today. She turned to face him. What are you saying? I'm saying you're not going back to that apartment. You're not walking the streets alone. You're not living afraid. His hands slid up her arms. Move in with me. Ava blinked. Dominic. Say yes, he said softly. Let me take care of you. Protect you. Be with you. A long, emotional beat passed between them. She touched his face gently. I'm not something to own. His eyes softened. I don't want to own you, he whispered. I want to choose you. Every day. And I want you to choose me. A tear slipped down her cheek. Dominic caught it with his thumb. And she whispered the word he had been waiting for. Yes. His breath left him in a single, relieved exhale. Then he kissed her again. Slow, deep, grateful. Chapter 17, The Deal. 2 weeks later, Ava sat beside Dominic in a private investor lounge during the signing of a major corporate acquisition. The press watched from afar. But Dominic? He didn't look at them. He looked only at her. Everything in my life started changing the day you walked into that elevator, he murmured. Ava smiled softly. I think it changed for me too. Dominic intertwined their fingers under the table. Ready? He asked. For what? He slid a sleek black envelope toward her. A contract. Her eyes widened. What is this? The official restructuring of your role, Dominic said warmly. You won't be my assistant anymore. She blinked. Then what will I be? He leaned close, lips brushing her jaw. My partner, he whispered. In business, in life, in everything. A soft gasp escaped her. Dominic. His thumb stroked her hand. This, he murmured, is the billionaire's deal. She looked into his eyes, and she knew. She wasn't signing a contract. She was choosing a future, a life, a man who would tear down the world to protect her. She signed. Dominic exhaled slowly, kissed her hand, and whispered, Welcome to forever, Ava.